there is still hope for you. You may have lost a lot of physical things, but so long as you are alive, you haven't lost everything. When the battle chooses you, God fights for you. He's with you, and He will show Himself mighty. People may strip you of what you have, but so long as they have not stripped you of your life, there is still hope for you. You may have lost a lot of physical things, but so long as you are alive, you haven't lost everything. When the battle chooses you, God fights for you. He's with you, and He will show Himself mighty. People may strip you of what you have, but so long as they have not stripped you of your life, there is still hope for you. You may have lost a lot of physical things, but so long as you are alive, you haven't lost everything. When the battle chooses you, God fights for you. He's with you, and He will show Himself mighty. People may strip you of what you have, but so long as they have not stripped you of your life, there is still hope for you. You may have lost a lot of physical things, but so long as you are alive, you haven't lost everything. When the battle chooses you, God fights for you. He's with you, and He will show Himself mighty. People may strip you of what you have, but so long as they have not stripped you of your life, there is still hope for you. You may have lost a lot of physical things, but so long as you are alive, you haven't lost everything. When the battle chooses you, God fights for you. He's with you, and He will show Himself mighty. People may strip you of what you have, but so long as they have not stripped you of your life, there is still hope for you. You may have lost a lot of physical things, but so long as you are alive, you haven't lost everything. When the battle chooses you, God fights for you. He's with you, and He will show Himself mighty. People may strip you of what you have, but so long as they have not stripped you of your life, there is still hope for you. Hello and good evening to another amazing episode of Tuesdays with the Ambassador of Hope with your host, yours truly, Ofosu-Appiah is my name. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to come your way. I hope your day has been good like mine has been. But you know something, whichever way it is, so long as there's heartbeat in your chest and breath in your nostrils, it is a good day. Every day above the ground is a good day. That is why I've come your way. Listen, today is going to be a little bit different. What I thought about was to sit back and just have a conversation with you about life. But this conversation is going to originate from you. I'm going to give the microphone to you for a change. Not that you're going to moderate everything, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick your brains. I want to scratch you where you are itching. I want to know how you feel. I want to know what's happening in your life. I want you to ask some questions about this thing called life. Because one of the things that I've realized is that sometimes because of some cultures that we come from or our upbringing or different environments, we tend to think erroneously that everything comes from God. Yes, to a degree, yes, I agree. But the day I read that in the book of Psalm 115 or so, that the heavens belong to the Lord, but the earth has He given to the sons of men, I realized that there is a part that I have to play in the outcome of some of the outcomes in my life. There are some things that you and I have no part in. For example, you didn't make any contribution to who gave birth to you, or where you were born, or the color of your skin. That is why racism is such a hopeless thing. You know, you didn't choose it, God did. God chose where to place you, who gave birth to you, where you were raised. But beyond that, in fact, there are other decisions that were made for you, like, you know, where your parents took you to school, how they raised you, you know, the neighborhood you grew up in. But when you get to a stage in your life, there are some decisions that you've got to make. You've got to be intentional in your life. And intentionality is something that we tend to downplay. We really downplay intentionality, especially for people who are into a lot of prayer. we don't realize that after prayer, we have to give some intentionality to the outcome. And so today, I want in this few minutes that we have to sit back and let you ask me a few questions so that I can try to answer. But before then, please pick up the device. Let's do it. A lot of people have disobeyed me for a very long time. You know, the Bible says to obey is better than sacrifice and to hearken at the blood of, So please, 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 let's do that. Can you share to a few people? Notify them that the ambassador of hope is seated. And it's time for us to talk about this thing called life. You know, General de Gaulle of France says something. He said, politics is too important to live in the hands of politicians. And I want to paraphrase it for the ambassador of hope. And I said that life is too important to leave to chance. Life is like a blank check. Whoever you give it to will write in it and will cash it on you. So be intentional. Write some things and let's see what happens. So let's share. I'm going to share and let me just begin to acknowledge some. Sila, good evening. Good to see you. Nana Kwame, bless you today. God bless you. Yes, it's wisdom time. Oba Panshra, blessings upon you, my daughter. God richly bless you. Nana Nimo says it's time to learn. Good evening to you too, Nana. Blessings upon you. Listen, it says that Ambassador of Hope says that it's Hope Tuesday. So please, let's share, let's comment, let's do something. Don't just be a passive person behind the scenes. I know there are so many incognito. That's fine. I'm not going to bother you. I'm not going to, take your cover off. I totally respect that. But let's go ahead. Nanaya, God bless you. Emma Ronnie, blessings to you. Naomi, good evening to you. Good evening to you. Thank you for coming up tonight. Isaac Kobina, prophet, I hope you are doing very well. Nafali, you are in the house. God richly bless you. Anita is watching tonight, and my miracle lady, President, you are in the house. All the way from the Republic of Bronx in the state of New York, Pastor Festus, God richly bless you. From the land of 10,000 lakes, Pastor Gospel, God bless you. Nana, the Ajwa, you are in the house. Nanajwa is in the house. 1st of February, something is dropping. Please go to Nanajwa's page, and you're going to see that. God richly bless you. Please send your questions. That is what my staff says. Please send your questions. Laura, good evening to you. Suzanne, it was such a blessing to see you last Sunday. Daniel Brabe, Lizzie Tete. Cassandra, how are you? I hope you are doing very well. Mike Lampton says, Nuggets, I trust so. Nana Kunadu Brifo from Canada. God bless you. Good evening to you, Antoinette Jones. God bless you. There's a guy called Gabondi Ofosu-Appiah. Good evening. You are here. You are ready to share. Brother, go ahead. Nia Iteai, good evening to you. Prince Zahin. Claudia, welcome back. Kedin, good evening to you, my daughter. Listen, let's do that. Let's check our folk on YouTube. You know, we are live on Facebook and we are live on YouTube. So let us do that. Let us see what happens. YouTube, I am Frank Ofosu-Appiah Official. And I beg your pardon, YouTube is Frank Ofosu-Appiah Official and Facebook is the Ambassador of Hope. Yes, Nema, faith without intentionality is dead. Yes, you are so right. You are so right. Good evening to you, Eunice. Good to have you. Good to have you here tonight. God bless you so much. Well, so many of you here. I see so many of you here. Adam from Ghana, Keres House. Good evening to you. Brandon is in the house. God bless you. Yes, BMK. Yes, Pojoba, God bless. Fixin says he's ready to learn. And I'm ready to learn too. Every leader, everyone who is of consequence, you've got to be a continual learner. God richly bless you. Let's see what goes on here. It is going to be lit. It's going to be epic. So let's see how it goes tonight. I hope you are all set. You are all prepared. We are going to get into some awesome business tonight. Tuesdays with the Ambassador of Hope. Yes. Eddie Yakuban, God bless you. Good evening. Joyce Ejichwe J. Good evening to you, my daughter. Nana Mwako. London has respect for you. God richly bless you. Henry Bass, good evening to you. So good to have you. Mami, you are pretty. Yes, you are pretty. God bless you. Hereford Afaji, good evening. Priscilla Brew. Oh, Lord have mercy. My prophet, PA, prophet. Well, you humble me this evening. God bless you. I know you are in the city of London, and I know that London is going to be blessed because you came around. Listen, you've been such a blessing to the world. God richly bless you. This world is happy that God loaned you to us. Prophet, good evening to you. God richly bless you. God richly bless you. Oh, you humble me so much this evening. Listen, let's get rolling. Let's get rolling. Let's see. So let your questions come. I hear there are a few questions, so let's begin to do it. I want you to ask Ask questions, easy questions, and then let us learn. You know, one of the things that I learned the other time about when the children of Israel were making their journey from their long-term captivity into their eternal promise, you know, the Lord says something to them, to the leaders, that pick up 12 stones and, you know, set up a memorial so that when successive generations ask you, what do these stones mean? Then you must tell them. The sad thing that I've observed these days is that people are so much interested in the now that they forget that the now, in many ways, are dictated to by the past. George Santayana said that those who do not know their past are condemned to repeat it. So we need to ask questions. And the thing about it is that wise men and women don't answer questions that are not asked. So let's go ahead. I hear there are questions. Let's flow. Let's see how it goes. Let's go. Let's do it. Okay. What inspired you to become the ambassador of hope? And how has it shaped your perspective on life? Wow, that's a big one to start with. You know, I tell people that sometimes this thing called vision or a mission, not a mission of cars, that mission and vision sometimes flows out of a particular need that you see. Many times when you get angry about some things or you get frustrated about some things, it could be that there's a calling into that thing. Some of the things that make you frustrated could be a call for you to correct them. And over the years, I began to realize that we go to church a lot. I mean, I've spent most of my life as a church person. I'm serving the church, and hopefully I'll spend the rest of my life serving the church in whichever dimension or capacity that the Lord allows me. But I realize that we go to church a lot, we pray, we do a whole lot of things. But between Sunday to the next Sunday, I see a lot of struggle. There's no common sense living. And so this began to knock a lot on my heart. And out of that, I felt that I needed to set up this program using the platform of the internet, social media, to leverage, to begin to talk to people, to put some keys into their hands, to make them to be able to live wisely and victoriously from Sunday to Sunday. That is common sense living. I told you at the beginning that there is not another church service. Never would I turn into a church service. Occasionally, we'll spend some time to pray and do other things, but mostly I want to come your way and scratch you where you are itching. And that is what informed the Tuesdays with the Ambassador of Hope. And it has helped me to understand that humans have need. Humans have a lot of needs. And many times the answer to their needs are not a lot of long prayers or laying on of hands, but just putting wisdom keys in their hands. And that is what has shaped my perspective in this life. I realize that a lot of people suffer without speaking. A lot of people talk without you hearing their words. I want to be the one that hears words that are not spoken, see tears that are not shed, and somehow help. So that is what has happened to me. I hope it helped. Let's go ahead. Somebody said that there are specific practices or habits you recommend for cultivating resilience and staying hopeful in the face of uncertainty. Wow. Yeah, keep that question there for me and let me look at it. Well, one of the things I have come to know in my almost 7 decades of life is this: that life can never be accurately scripted, and life is full of uncertainties. It could be bright and shiny in a minute, and the next moment things can turn suddenly. So one of the things I recommend to people is that make adjustments in this life for uncertainties. I see that the reason why many people get despondent and discouraged and disconsolate is the fact that they are so tunnel visioned in their life that they do not make adjustments for things that may happen. You know, I understand that when the first Apollo mission, the spacecraft missions and things were set, when they didn't have all the sophisticated software like we do right now, sometimes one of the things that they said was that they shoot them towards the moon and they tell them make adjustments as you go. And in the same way in life, sometimes you have to understand that you make adjustments as you go. Because there are some things you may pray and be very certain about, but don't forget you are not God. There's a human element, or we are all human with a spiritual element, or we are spirits, but we are human beings as well. And sometimes we get it wrong, and many times we get it many times wrong before we get it right. And if you are not a person that can be, you can be I'm trying to find a word. You can adjust to situations. You are always going to be broken. One thing that you need in this life is resilience. Resilience is telling you and whatever is standing before you that you are not going to give up. And that you know that after the mountain comes down, you'll still be here, and the valley is exalted, you will still be here. So please listen. Life is full of uncertainties. Life is full of the unknown. But one of the things that we've got to understand is that unknowns and uncertainties will always be there. But the man and the woman who wins is the one who determines that no matter what, I will keep fighting. Falling down does not make you a failure. It is staying there that makes you a failure. So whatever it is, as you listen to me today, get up, move, and do something one more time. I saw a question here. Let me see if you can have it. Michelle, I don't know if well, there are two questions here. I don't know if you see one from Richard Senya and the other from Nadia. If you can, yes. Richard says that as I age, you really are aging. Okay, I hear you. As I age, I realize that what you've been preaching about rest is not a luxury but a necessity. Why do we struggle to rest? And do you have any suggestions on being intentional about rest? Yes, be intentional about rest. Because the one who didn't even need to rest, rested. God, after the sixth day, he sat down and looked at his creation, and the Bible says that he rested. He rested. Rest is a sign of accomplishment. Rest is a sign that what I've done is okay, so I can take it easy. One of the reasons why we find it so much difficult to rest is that we overdrive ourselves. Sometimes it could be competition. Sometimes it could be low self-esteem. Sometimes it is as a result of guilt. You are surprised I'm saying that? Yes, sometimes it happens. You know, we always want to measure up. So we keep on and on and on, and we burn the candle at both ends. And in the end, we are the ones that suffer. What is my suggestion on being intentional? This is it. Please listen to me. Everybody on Tuesday, listen. Rest is not a waste of time. Rest is an intentional change in occupation. It's a temporary change of occupation. Rest is not a waste of time. Rest is a temporary change in occupation. You go back after that. Even God rested. So please, whatever you do, find some times to rest. And when we talk about rest, we are not mean just sleep and die. Sometimes rest could mean just going out a little bit. Because sometimes mental stress, mental load is even heavier than some of the things that do. Most of our stress is not even physical. It's mental, it's emotional. And sometimes just take time off. Take time off the computer. In fact, yesterday I learned a very powerful lesson from one of my daughters that she's going to do like digital detox once a week. And I said to my wife, I'm going to do that too. That once a week, please stay away from the phone, and I can make you this promise based on my blood. That if you don't go to the phone one day, you won't die. And if we are intentional, then we don't become slaves to some people hiding behind some algorithms and trying to drive us. So let's do that. Rest. Take some time off. Go out. Shop. After you come back and you try the things on, take them back. So rest. That's it. I'm done. Did you see Nadia's question? I saw Nadia Baye's question. I don't know if you can find. He says, good evening. Looking back, what are 3 principles you will share with your younger self on navigating and thriving in life? Wow, three principles. Principle number 1 for me is the principle of managing the gift of time. I sit back today and I look over my shoulders and it looks like I was born only yesterday. Time flies, especially when you're having fun. But I realize that time waits for nobody. Time is constantly moving. The enemy of your soul is the clock on the wall, and every tick of the second hand is moving you towards the end of your life. So for me, I would make very good use of the time that comes to me. Number 2 is the principle of relationships. I realize that I'm the sum total of the relationships that I have made in my life. I allowed a lot of toxic people to have a lot of say-so in my younger self. So I'll say to my younger self today that be very intentional in who comes your way. You don't need the approval of the whole world. You don't need 5,000 friends. If you can have 2 friends who will sit at your funeral and not look at their watch, consider yourself grateful. Consider yourself, very fortunate. And then the 3rd principle that I'll speak to my younger self in this life is preparation. Preparation. I realized that there were some things that I had to do a crash course on, but if I had prepared, if I had known, of course, I didn't have any ambassador of hope to talk to me like this, but prepare, and maybe one day your time will come. Don't wait till your breakthrough comes. Don't wait till that thing comes before you prepare. If you do that, then you are like the person who puts on the seat belt after the car has crashed. Prepare in life, and maybe your time will come. So that's for you, Nadia, and for all of us. I hope it makes sense. Anybody else? Let's see. Okay, Obapa says, good evening, Daddy. My question is, why do we always experience the things we fear in life? Wow. Insha, this one is a big one. This one is a big one. You know, let me shift a little bit. I don't know if my people can put Job chapter 3, verse 26 up there for me. That may answer the question. But if not, then that's fine. Maybe I can find it here on my... Yes. Look at that. Is it or 20, 25 or 20 something? Let's see 25. Yes, 25. He says that for the thing I greatly feared has come upon me, and what I dreaded had happened to me. What Job was saying is the fact that fear has an attraction. And when you begin to fear attracts the very thing that you fear. That is why they tell us that there are 365 do not fears in the Bible. Fear has torment. Fear, number one, starts as an emotion, and if you're not careful, becomes a spirit. That is why Paul tells us that God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind. So it happens that sometimes when something comes to you or something threatens you, you begin to fear so much, you begin to attract that thing. Like a weather forecast, the hurricane becomes big and big and big and big. So I'll advise you that do not fear. Why do I say do not fear? Because God is on your side. Do not fear because you are bigger. Greater is he who is in you than he that is in the world. Do not fear because fear has torment. Do not fear because fear can make a coward out of an aggressive person. Do not fear because fear is the down payment on trouble before you have it. So don't fear. Once you begin to fear, you attract the very thing that you fear. That is what we see in the scriptures. The thing that I greatly fear has come upon me. So, Obapa, please, and for all of us, do not fear because the Lord is with you. Psalm 27 says that the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom do I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom would I be afraid? So do not be afraid. God is with you. If that thing could have taken you out, you would have been gone a long time ago. Don't you be afraid. All right. Do we have any? Oh. Pastor Steve, what drives you and how do you maintain the intensity of your drive year after year? How do you maintain consistency? Oh boy. What drives me? I think my passion and my vision to see people's lives better is one thing that drives me. You know, it is not so much what you possess, but it is what possesses you that drives you. It is not so much what you possess, but it is what possesses you that drives you. And once you find your niche in life and that thing drives you, you are almost impossible to stop. And for me, to see people come to the saving knowledge of the Lord Jesus Christ, number one. And number two, to be able to alleviate human suffering because of ignorance is one that drives me consistently. And then I have also determined that life is short. I don't have forever. And every day is a blessing to me. Every day is a gift that God has given to me. And so I must make full use of the day that God brings to me. And so that informs a bit of my intensity for me to go on and on and on. And then how do I maintain it? It's a mindset. I have made up my mind that, you see, the eternal creator gave us, well, it's a human thing, but 24 hours a day. 24 hours a day. And they tell us that every normal being sleeps 8 hours a day. Then we work 8 hours a day. So there's a third 8 hours. I have seen that the third 8 hours is what really informs our success or otherwise. And so that is what I give a lot of time to. I cut a little bit of corners. I can't be sleeping 8 hours all the time. When there's more sleep after death, I don't say don't sleep and don't rest. But those are the little things. You see, success is found not in the middle, but on the edges where you do your things. So these are some of the things, Pastor Steve, that drive me and to maintain is self-discipline. I have introduced myself to myself, had a staff meeting with myself, and I've said to myself that nobody is going to roll over for me. Nobody has it easier than me, and nobody owes me anything. So when the clock strikes, I must get up and I must move. So these are some of the things that move me in this life. All right. How do you balance ambition and contentment in your life? And what advice do you have for others seeking fulfillment? Wow. Ambition and contentment. It looks like they don't get into the same basket, but they can. Because there are two kinds of ambition: godly ambition and worldly ambition. Worldly ambition is what drives you to even kill people in order to go up. Worldly ambition is that makes you step upon people just for you to go up. Worldly ambition is that who does not stop at anything, will go through a brick wall just to make sure that you are the top dog. And if you are the top dog, you are nothing but the dog who is at the top. But there's something called contentment. And one of the greatest exponents of contentment was a very driven man. One of the most driven. I mean, the guy was driven. You cannot read about him and not say that, wow, what an intense person. His name is Paul. He came from a place called Tarsus. And he wrote and he said that godliness with content is great gain. And then in another place, writing to some of his people, says that I have learned in whatever situation that I am to be content. I know how to be on top. And when I'm not at the top, I also know. So it's a mindset. It's a mindset. It's a place that you get to where you understand that much as I don't want to just float in life, but have to put some effort in life, I also have to understand that I cannot do everything and I cannot become everything. Listen, you can become something, but you cannot become everything. You can become something, but you can't become everything. You are called to some place, but you are not called to every place. You are called to some people. You are not called to every person. When you understand that, then you can be content in some of the things. Contentment also does not mean that you sit down and you do nothing. That is where you have to find the balance. That because you are content, it doesn't mean that you are just sitting there and going nowhere. Even if you're on the right track and you stay there, something is going to run over you. So contentment means that I am glad of who God has made me. I'm improving. I'm getting there. I become better. I press on. But I don't get into places where I'm not called, and I don't do things that I'm not cut out for. Because after all, what exactly is the point in struggling to get up the ladder to get to the top, only to discover that you are leaning against the wrong wall? So that is the balance, and that is what has helped me. So I'm saying to people that, listen, many times even, what we call fulfillment may not even be true fulfillment. I've seen people who have gotten to a place they think is fulfillment, and they are like Alexander the Great, who at the age of 33 had conquered the then known world, and yet was found in his tent crying. No fulfillment because there were no more worlds to conquer. I love the other one who was only 33 years when he departed this earth. That in that place of extreme pain, he bowed his head and he said, it is finished. Fulfillment. Listen, he didn't say, I am finished. He said, it is finished. You have to get to that point where you know that whatever mission that you've been given, you've done it. That gives fulfillment. So that's my little take on this. All right, Nick. Nick says, I've learned in this life that having a positive attitude is a necessary determinant for success. But how is only having a positive attitude not enough to succeed? That's very good. Positive attitude is very, very, very good. But for example, if let's say your house is on fire, God forbid, and you have a very positive attitude, that I have a good attitude, that my house is on fire, but good attitude is only a beginning. It's only a launching pad for you to go do something. Good attitude informs your emotions, informs your thinking, your psyche to do something, because negative attitudes also destroys a lot of things. But a good attitude is very good at the time, because there are times that setbacks will come. There are times that delays will come. There are times that detractors will come, mockery will come, all kinds of things will come that will seem to dim your light. That is where your good attitude, a positive attitude comes in, because a positive attitude will always cause you to get up and face the issue one more time. A positive attitude will speak to you. That is, a positive attitude is your own textbook. That tells you that, listen, the downfall of a person is not the end of their lives, and the bend in the road is not the end of the road. I can get up and I can do it one more time. A positive attitude creates an atmosphere around you that everything that I set my hands to do, there's a possibility that I can finish it, that it is near impossible for anything to defeat me. When you have that attitude, you can do it. But a positive attitude alone, without corresponding action, is not good. It doesn't cut. Anybody else? Joyce says what? Keep Joyce's thing there. Keep Joyce's thing there. But there's a question here that says that, good evening, Papa. Please, how many hours must one pray daily? 24 hours a day. 24 hours a day. I'm serious. You know, the one who taught us to pray said we must pray without ceasing. And if somebody says pray without ceasing, you don't stop. I'm saying that to say this, that your life must be a prayer in motion. You know, sometimes when we talk about prayer, we are talking about having a posture, kneeling down, going around buildings, shouting, taking authority and dominion, releasing angels who don't come back to report, you know, all those charismatic jargons and this. But you just have to remain prayerful in your life, be in constant touch with the Lord. You don't go to your office to go and have prayer meetings there. That may be fired, and you may have all kinds of trouble. So, and then there's also, I understand that there's also a ministry, a calling to prayer. And that one is different. And then also for people who are in what I do, like pastors and things, we have to get in a lot. You know, there are people who are called to be intercessors. They spend their lives praying a lot. But for the quote, I don't like to use the word average for everybody, but please, for this one, like for the average Joes like us, you know, make sure that you have prayer. Remember, prayer is a two-way communication between you and God. Many people don't do that. They just give their shopping list to God, and then they get up and leave. They don't even. Prayer is communication with you and God. Prayer is not always warfare. Prayer is not always dealing with the devil. Prayer is having communion and communication with your Father. And that is what you do. So daily in your car, whatever, you are in tune with Him. So that is what I would say. But there are other things like ministries and things that I cannot determine the hours. That determines upon when the burden is lifted. Then you can stop. So that is what I'm going to say. Okay, this is Joycelyn. What do you do in the face of adversity? And how do you overcome some challenges? Interesting question. What do I do in the face of adversity? The first thing I do is to, set my mindset. If you understand what I mean. The first thing that I do in the face of adversity is my mindset. I make up my mind. Number one, that anything and everything that has a beginning has an end. It's only God who doesn't have a beginning and end. But anything that comes my way has a beginning and has an end. And number two, I look at the adversity, whatever it is, and I say to myself, this also shall pass. I'm not the first person to go through this, and chances are that I'll not be the last. And after I finish having that meeting with myself, I go to the next step and I say to myself, how do I handle this adversity? Is this something for me? Do I fight it? Do I sit it out? Do I seek help or whatever? I look at it and then I work with it. So this is how I handle the challenges that come my way. Challenges don't go away because you have good intentions. Challenges go because you look at it and then you work a way around it. If you can't climb the mountain, dig a hole underneath it. If you can't dig a hole underneath it, find a way around it. Whichever way it is, there's a way and you can handle it. Don't give up, because giving up is not a good option. I hope it helps, Joycelyn. How do you nurture meaningful relationships, and what qualities do you believe are critical for strong interpersonal connections? Oh, wow. Meaningful relationship, number one, and for me, maybe that's the only thing I'll say. If I want meaningful relationships, I become the meaningful one in the relationship. Because many times people go into relationships with too much lopsided agenda. And that is, I go into it looking for what I can get. I realized in this life that, in fact, I was teaching a class yesterday, an emerging leaders class yesterday, and I told them that one of the great mentors, Dr. Tommy Barnett, he's the pastor of First Assembly of God Church in Phoenix, Arizona. Amazing man. I'm sure he may be retired. I don't know. But he said something. I was in a conference in the early 90s, I think 91 or 92 in Baltimore. And he said something that really touched me. He said, if you go through this life with your hands like this, expecting what you can get from people, you are going to walk through life 365 days disappointed. But if you go through life with your hands like this, looking for who to bless, the chances are that for 365 days in a year, you're going to be a happy person. I learned that. I took it. I worked it, and I've seen the result. In order for me to create meaningful relationships, I don't expect too much from the other side. I make sure that I'm a good friend. The book has already told us that he who wants friends must show themselves friendly. So I do that. And then I look for qualities like respect, qualities like loyalty, qualities like discretion, qualities like, not being naive, qualities like don't talk too much, qualities like being happy for the other person. So these are things that I look for. If I have somebody says I'm their friend and for 300 days they don't call me, we are acquaintances. When we meet, we shall talk. Last Sunday I was telling the church that if you have ignored me for a whole year, and I'm telling you, if you have ignored me for a whole year, please do not send me a card at Christmas. I do not need it at that time. If you have not ignored me from January 1st all the way to December 31st, what is the point in wishing me a happy new year? Don't send me, especially those empty cards that has nothing in them. And even the most annoying is the cards that have nothing in them. And when you open it to some dragons with red mouths or cuckoo, I don't like that, I'm just kidding. I hope we're having fun. But those are some of the things that I look for. I want to be the best person in that relationship, to go into the relationship to be a blessing to that other person. And I go there not expecting too much from the other person. And that has helped me in this life. It really has. I don't bear grudges. I don't hold grudges. I may not have enemies. Enemies may have me, and that's fine. So it serves me well. So that's the thing. Uncle B, Papa, Papa, thank you for sharing with us. You are welcome, sir. Please, why do you get the courage to stand with people in ministry that have been rejected? And why do you stand with them? When I consider the fact that the one who had no reason to love me still loved me, and when I consider that the one who left the pristine shores of a place called heaven to come to dwell on this rubbish dump for 33.5 years just for somebody like me, then the burden is upon my shoulders to also look out for people. I realized very early in life that people are frail, people are broken, people make mistakes. A lot of people make mistakes, a lot of people miss it, not because they went to school and they took a course on failure. No. But I realized that in this life, things happen. In this life, people cry without us seeing their tears. In this life, people speak and we don't hear them. In this life, people make mistakes, big mistakes, and they repeat their mistakes. Not because they just want to do it, but sometimes it's just because they are weak. And sometimes life offers them some things that they are too good to say no. And that is why I come in to help people. And then, these are some of the things I may not get into all the details, but it's one of the things that God gave to me as a ministry for broken and rejected people. He gave it to me. I cannot give you all the details, A, B, C, D, but some of the things that he gave me is that. That is why I sit in this chair. That is why I speak the way I speak. That is why I never give up on anybody. That is why sometimes I can be very, very misunderstood by people who think that I help people too much and I believe in people too much. Paul says that if I preach the gospel, I have nothing to boast about, for necessity is laid upon me. The ambassador who says that if I also stand with rejected people and help them, I have nothing to boast about, for necessity is laid upon me. Woe unto me if I don't do it. So that is what drives me to stand with people. I am a believer in people. Have I gotten hurt? Oh, yes. Do people disappoint me? Of course. Are people ungrateful? Every day. But would I stop? I don't think so. So, Uncle B, that's my answer for you. All right, we've got about 20 minutes. Oh, Denzel. How have you been able to foster collaboration without allowing competition to take over in your execution of ministry? One word. One word. Or maybe. Please don't get me wrong. I use this guardedly with all humility. It's self-confidence, identity, knowing who you are. If you collaborate with somebody in ministry, it's because you know that they have something that you may not have. And you may have something that they may not have. Why is it that when somebody is not well and go to see their primary physician, and the physician sees that there is a particular case, they are always ready to refer them to somebody? That is collaboration. The optician never wants to do dental work, and the dentist never wants to do something that the gastro person has to do. It's unfortunate that it's only in this thing called ministry that sometimes we find it so difficult to admit that there are people who may know something that we don't know. They are anointed in something that we are not anointed, and so we can team up to do things. Maybe from today, as this burden has been on your heart and my heart, we can begin to collaborate with one another without competition, undercutting, and understand that everybody has something from God. If I come to the party with a burning lamp, and you come to the party with a burning one, somebody, and 100 of us all bring our fires together and we light. Can you imagine the bonfire that will draw attention to what we do? We can begin to do that. Because competition, unhealthy competition, nobody wins. All of us lose. I hope it helps. Well, the questions never stop. Nema, what words do you have for youth or others who are struggling to find their God-given purpose? What words do you have for you? For young ones, the words that I have for you is this. Number one, don't look down on yourself. Number two, don't allow others to look down on you and to despise you because you are young. And number three, you are here on earth because God has a purpose for you. There's nobody who was born by accident. Your parents may have said that you were not planned, but I tell you, God planned you. And you came here on earth for a reason and for a purpose. He loaded you and brought you here on earth. Purpose may not be something that somebody tells you, but purpose, number one, is found in the mind of the manufacturer, your creator. So ask him, Lord, what is my purpose? Why am I here? And number two, maybe he has answered you already because of the gifts and the talents that you have. You only have to give it expression. And then you begin to find out the reason why you are here. And then the third thing I want to say is that sometimes people look at purpose and they are confused because they think that they can do 40 things in this life. Listen, you were never created to be very good at 40 things. Find your one thing. I think I did a whole 4 or 5 episodes on your one thing. Find that one thing. Find that one thing. I bet you your purpose may be in that. It may give birth to other sub things, but there's always a complete purpose that is there. You find it, stick with it, develop it, and then deploy it. That is what I say to young people. Please understand this. No matter what it is, you came here on a purpose. You are young and you're not going to be young forever. So do something now. Get up. Sometimes people complain, and the fathers and the elderly ones, and blah, listen, shine wherever you are. If you look into the skies tonight, you are going to see billions and billions and billions of stars that are shining. Chances are you may not see all the billions, but there are billions of them shining. The interesting fact is that all of them are shining for God. Somebody said that the skies are too big for 2 birds to collide in flight. Have you ever seen 2 birds collide in flight? No, they don't. Hardly. It means you can shine wherever you are. That is what I want to say to some young person. There's something in you that is not young and is not old. It is the Spirit of God. Leverage it in your life. Find your one purpose. Ask God, and be ready to hear from Him. And then look into your life and you find out that your purpose has been sitting there crying out for expression all the while. Take your eyes off somebody's thing and look into yours and you discover it. I hope it helps, Nema. I hope it helps. Pastor Richard, keep an interest there. Pastor Richard says, do you have any tips on attracting and maintaining quality people around you? This is my answer. I'm going to say it once. I will say it again. Did everybody hear the question? The question says, do you have any tips on attracting and maintaining quality people around you? Here is my answer. Well, here's the answer. You don't attract people you want. You attract who you are. So that is my tip. You don't attract who you want. You attract who you are. I want you to think about it carefully. Think about it deeply. Let the light come up. And then you know what I mean. You don't attract who you want. You attract who you are. So be the change agent that you want. Be the change that you want to see. Let's go to the next question. Your impact has been a blessing to us and beyond. Hopefully, thank you. Please, in your leadership journey, how do you balance empathy and decisiveness, especially when faced with tough decisions that may affect others? This is very, very powerful. It's been one of my challenges, even up to now, while I'm a little bit gone on in my years on earth. Empathy and decisiveness. It's the lion and the lamb thing that we always have to juggle with. And sometimes, if you're not very careful, you are going to let your heart control your mind. That is empathy, control, decisiveness. So for me, I strike a balance. I really do. I strike a balance. There are times that I wield my staff, which is the shepherd staff, and there are times that I wield my rod, which is the hunter's rod. You know, you fight both, and so for me, it's in between. It's in between. Normally my decisiveness. I don't exactly know where you may be going towards to with this, but normally for me as a pastor, I face that a lot. Maybe people that have done things that are really bad that may affect others and I look at all those things, and for me, a lot of it, I have been very decisive and very hard, if you like, not in public space, but I've really done it. If I have to, I'll have to do it. If I have to. So normally my empathy is open and my hardness is maybe between me and the people, and I get a lot of good results out of that. So that is the little that I can say. If you're in corporate, empathy is not enough. Decisiveness is king. Because other than that, if you're working under somebody or you're working in somebody's space, you may get fired. So there are times that you may have to let people go, you may have to demote people, you may have to put them whatever it is. You've got to do it and put empathy in a box and lock it. I'm speaking from the standpoint of ministry. But for those, I know people are listening to me from corporate, from this and that, decisiveness is very, very important. There are some places that empathy just doesn't work. For example, if you're a physician and you have to cut somebody in order to heal them, empathy so that you don't cut doesn't help. So you have to do that. You have to be decisive. Sometimes you have to cut people to make them good. Let me give you an example. The greatest exponent for Christian liberty is a man called Saul, Paul of Tarsus. In fact, he wrote in Galatians that circumcision, cutting, the male thing, it's not necessary. It's a Jewish rite. So when he came, he brought Christian liberty. That is not necessary. True circumcision is of the heart. But he had a protege, Timothy, who was half Greek and half Jew. His father was Greek, his mother was Jew. In the sense that, and so because of that, he wasn't circumcised. Then, if you're not circumcised, you could never go into the synagogue. And yet, Timothy was a gifted man. He could teach and he couldn't go there. What did Paul do? He took him and he cut him. He circumcised him. He didn't castrate him. He circumcised him so that he'll be able to go to places that he couldn't go to. So sometimes you have to be hard. You have to be decisive on people. And for me, the people that have been really, really decisive and hard on have been people that I see that they have so much gift, but they are wasting it. When I get to that place where I don't say anything again, I've left you to yourself. And that for me is not a good place for you to be. I haven't done that with a lot in my life, but if I get there and I don't say anything, I know a lot, but I won't say. I've turned you over to yourself, and that is not a good place for you to be. Believe me. Believe me. It doesn't stop. Wendy, I hope Dallas is treating you very well, and your husband and children are good. Dad, please, how would you advise people in their 20s who just got married and are rushing to do ministry or start a church? I get that a lot, and I want to know your mind. Social isn't helping them. Oh. I like the oh. Well, you are in your 20s, you are just married, you are rushing to do ministry or start a church. What kind of trouble are you buying for yourself? Why would you do that to yourself? Somebody in your 20s, just married. Do you think it was a mistake that God said to the children of Israel that anybody that gets married must not go to war? It's in your Bible. Don't look at me like that. It says when you get married for 1 year, do not go to war. Stay home and enjoy your wife. That is what the Bible says. It's right there. You ask me chapter and verse, find it for yourself. I can go there. I know where it is. But I'm going to find it. I told you this is not just, but I want to bring the wisdom of God. God had a way. So if you are newly married, I think that you should concentrate on marriage. Ministry will be waiting for you all the while. Because ministry or starting church is so hard and comes with so much pressure that if you are not very careful, your marriage is going to suffer and your marriage may break. I kid you not. There are times that people are sent to plant churches and things and they get all the resources in the world. Listen, somebody can give you $1 million to start a church. But you can still be frustrated because what if you show up and your own shadow didn't go with you to church? And there's nobody to help you in spite of your millions. You could be in trouble. So I tell people that if you are newly married, could you give yourself a little bit of time before you start and get a lot of support from others who can hold your hand? Please, I see the word rush. Please don't rush to do ministry. Don't rush to do ministry because, listen, I was talking to a young man the other day, some time back, and the man said, you know, I want to grow a ministry. And I said, listen, you do not grow a ministry. The ministry grows you. The ministry has a way of growing. It will sober you. I'm not saying this to scare anybody. I started doing ministry at a very, very young age. But I was fortunate enough that I wasn't thrust into ministry. I got married at the age of 25 or something. And mommy was 22. We were just like teenagers, you know. But we had some very good support. And I wasn't thrust into this immediately. I was doing some ministry because I was helping my pastor. We were planning churches. I was his interpreter. We could go. And I could always come back home, you know. And then went through when my book comes, you read some of these things about our lives. But that is how it is. But please don't let this thing that is called ministry or starting a church kill your marriage. Your first ministry is your marriage. That is why he told us the stipulation that if you cannot take care of your own home, you are not qualified to take care of the house of God. Ministry is first, my friend. Ministry is first. Never forget that. Ministry is first. I beg your pardon. Marriage is first. Your marriage is first before your ministry. Give time to your marriage. Give time to your spouse. It's very important that you do that. So I'm talking to people. And then social media isn't helping. You know, it is true. One of the things that I'm very careful about is the fact that the internet never forgets and the internet never forgives. So before you set the camera before you and begin to talk, please make sure you know your content and you have a content that 10 years, 20 years later, when they dig it up, you don't become like a celebrated fool. So be very careful. And then also, social media is not all there is to be in this world. We need one another. We need one another. So apart from social media, that is tremendous. This hybrid thing has come to stay. We thank God for social media. But we also need flesh and blood, skin and bones to be with us. I hope I've answered your question, Wendy. How many minutes do we have? Oh, I have just about 5 minutes and I'm gone. This man that is asking me this question, I don't know why you are asking me this question, but I'm going to try and forgive you a little bit. Pastor Joasma. How do you handle individuals who have become territorial in ministry as a leader? You talk to them about it. In fact, this past Saturday, I was training my leaders, and it's one of the things that I talk to them about, that we should be very careful not to be territorial. So you, the leader, you must talk to them, you must school them, you must teach them about the dangers of being territorial and how territorialism sets the work of God back. If you do on and on and on and they can't, please promote them sideways. Because teamwork, there's no I in team. And one person cannot do. Even the one who didn't need anybody. In Mark chapter 3, verse 14, Jesus, he called 12 people to be with him. And then he will send them. He needed people. We need a team. So let me recommend 2 books by the same author, Patrick Lencioni. Patrick Lencioni. He wrote 2. So he has written a few books, and I have his book. Number one is 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. I think I can find it here on my reading list. 5 dysfunctions. Yeah, there it is. 5 Dysfunctions of a Team by Patrick Lencioni. Please let your leaders. I'm asking my leaders to read. Well, this thing froze on me. 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. Let them read it. Let your team read it. It's very important. My team, I've recommended it to my team. 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. Please let them read it. And then there's the other one. This is one that they are really going to like. That's the cover. Silos, politics, and turf wars. This is to every leader. Please get it. And even This one is visual and audio. Good, we are back. But this is, for me, this is the best question for today. This is the best question. And Maxwell, I owe you lunch. I know you love me, but your love for me has gone to another level in my heart. Outside of ministry, how can we help you as you transition to the next phase of your life? This is beautiful. One of the things about me, I think I got that trait from my father, and I see that in my sons too. I'm a person that finds it very, very difficult to keep asking people for things. I don't know. Honestly, it's not pride or arrogance, because sometimes pride and arrogance precludes you from asking. I don't ask for much in this life, but this is how people can help me as I transition. I've been a pastor for about 40 years, pastoring within the four walls of a church. I've been a general overseer, that is, I oversee churches. You know, some people call it bishop. Bishop is an administrative position. It's not just wearing of gaps. That's another matter. And I oversee so much. And leadership is my heartbeat, because I realize that if we get leadership right, we get a lot of things right. In the light of that, Maxwell, I'm sure you know about the transition that I'm going through, especially with pastoring church and things, to step back a little bit into the next phase. I do not want the four walls of a church to contain me. So what people can help me to do to transition is to help me build the leadership institute that we are doing. Maybe I can show you some photos later. There's a lot of work going on. There's a lot of work that is going on that we can talk about. You know, you can see some of them there. There's a lot of work, you know, it's going on and on and on and on. But I need help. I need your don't. That's fine. I need your financial help. I need things. We need to set this thing up, and we need to push it. For me, it's a huge multi-million-dollar thing. It is not named after me. It is not whatever. It's the legacy for the world that I want to leave behind. So, ministry, I want people to leave me alone. Then I want people to support me in this matter. Maxwell, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You made me a little bit emotional. Thank you so much that you care so much about me. Thank you. Help me. Let's do this. Then tell other people to leave me alone. And if they have situations, they should call the police or the ambulance. I'm just kidding. But thank you so much. Listen, I don't want to take too much of your time. Vera, thank you. Thank you so much. Vera says that anytime she hears my voice, she becomes so content. Thank you. Thank you so much for the kind words. Let me finish by saying this. You know, sometimes, you know, people think that people like us also don't need to hear kind words. Let me tell you something. One of the greatest presidents, well, it depends on which part of the aisle you have. But Abraham Lincoln was one of the greatest presidents America ever had. And you and I know that he was shot in a theater. He was watching something theater, and he was shot and he died. And when they were preparing his body for you know, his funeral and his burial, they found some 5 things on him. Number 1 was a handkerchief with his initials, AL. They found a pocket knife, a $5 Confederate, is it a Confederate? No, what is that? Confederate or what on the other side? $5 note. And then they found his eyeglasses. And then they found some newspaper clippings in his pocket. And the newspaper clippings all were things that were, the news that were saying some good things about him. And when you consider it, you think, man, this man was vain to read good things about himself, until you understand that he was president during a very volatile time in America, the Civil War. Two sides fighting. And so he was vilified. You could not make a decision that one side of the aisle will not come against you. And so he kept it, that anytime that he was being vilified and he felt low, he also read it to realize that some people also appreciated his leadership. I'm saying this to all of you, my friends and family, on Tuesdays with the Ambassador of Hope. Please, leadership is not easy. People who give leadership, I know there are all kinds of people out there. That is not my thing. But I feel that there are people too, like me, who have a heart to do ministry well, to do leadership well. Do we make mistakes? Yes. Will we make mistakes? You bet. We make a lot. Do we regret? Yes. All because we are human. We have treasure in human vessels, and we can make mistakes, judgments, and things. But I want to believe that, just like I am, there are majority out there who have a heart to do right and to do well for the Lord. Don't wait for us to die before you come and say good things about us at our funerals. Occasionally, even when it's not pastor's appreciation or anything, or birthdays, can you say something? Like Vera has said, that when I hear your voice, I become content. You know what it does? It gives me extra fire in my belly to do what I'm doing. Feedback is very necessary. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you very, very well. Thank you. Thank you very well. Very, very much. Please don't forget the book recommendations. I think that my people put it out there. It is The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, and then Silos, Politics, and Turf Wars by Patrick Lencioni. Please read it. It's not very difficult reading it. It helps in ministry. It helps in life, in everywhere. You know, the 5 dysfunctions, lack of trust. No, let me not tell you everything about the book, but go in there and it will help you. This is my story. This is it. Thank you very much. Next week, I'll come your way again. I have a brand new series coming up. It's going to be a blessing. Then, Mommy told me that once in a while, can you stop and just get questions from people so that people can ask you questions? I think I enjoy this even better than what I call the lecture. So thank you. All that remains for me to say is sleep well. May God Almighty look favorably upon your ways. Keep you well. Keep you sane. Keep you smiling. Keep you successful. In the name of the Lord Jesus. Amen. Bye-bye.